The metallic corridors of the royal starship Celestia hummed with an eerie silence as William pressed his bleeding shoulder against the cold wall. His armor, once gleaming with the royal insignia, was now scorched and dented from plasma fire. He had fought through 17 sectors of the rebel-infested station to reach her Princess Kylie, heir to the galactic throne of Andromeda. "Stay with me," he had whispered to her unconscious form as he carried her through explosions and crossfire. His muscles screamed in protest, his vision blurred from blood loss, but he never stopped. Not when the rebels cornered him in the zero-gravity chamber. Not when his communication device was destroyed, leaving him isolated from backup forces. For Kylie, he would bleed 1,000 times over. That was 6 months ago. Now, William stood in the grand hall of the Imperial Palace, his dress uniform immaculate, medals gleaming across his chest. But the weight on his shoulders wasn't from the decorations. It was from the piercing gaze of Queen Alara, Kylie's mother, who sat upon the starlight throne with the bearing of someone who commanded galaxies. "Commander William Thorne," the Queen's voice echoed through the chamber, amplified by ancient technology woven into the very architecture. "You have served the crown with distinction. Your valor in rescuing my daughter has not gone unnoticed." William bowed deeply, his jaw tight. He could feel Kylie's presence somewhere in the hall, though protocol dictated she stand among the other royals, distant and untouchable. He hadn't spoken to her privately since that day. Every request for an audience had been politely denied by the palace stewards. "Your Majesty honors me," William replied, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. Queen Alara descended from her throne, her robes flowing like liquid starlight. She was a formidable woman, beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. Her eyes the same violet hue as Kylie's studied him with an intensity that made him feel like a specimen under analysis. "I have a proposition for you, Commander," she said, circling him slowly. "My daughter speaks highly of your courage. She tells me you shielded her with your own body when the rebels fired upon your escape pod, that you went 3 days without food, giving her your rations." William's heart pounded. He had done those things without thought, driven by something deeper than duty. But he couldn't say that here, not in front of the entire court. "I was merely doing my duty." "Your Majesty, duty," the Queen repeated, a slight smile playing on her lips. How convenient that duty and devotion appear so similar from the outside. A murmur rippled through the assembled nobles. William felt heat rise to his face, but maintained his composure. "The Empire needs strong leaders." Queen Alara continued, "Men who have proven themselves in fire and blood. Men who understand sacrifice." She paused directly in front of him. "I am appointing you as commander of the Royal Guard. You will be responsible for the safety of the entire royal family. It should have been an honor." The position was one of the highest in the military, reserved for the most trusted warriors. But William's stomach twisted with understanding. This wasn't a reward, it was a cage. Furthermore, the Queen added, her voice dropping to a tone only he could hear, "You will reside within the palace complex, close to those you are sworn to protect. Your Majesty, you may thank me later, Commander." Dismissed, William had no choice but to bow and retreat. As he turned, his eyes finally found Kylie in the crowd. She stood among her siblings and cousins, her expression carefully neutral. But her violet eyes burned with an emotion he couldn't quite name. Anger, sorrow, longing, their gazes locked for a heartbeat before she looked away. The days that followed were torture. William saw Kylie constantly at state dinners, during security briefings, in the palace gardens, but always from a distance, always with eyes watching. The Queen had been clever. She had brought him close enough to see what he could never have, far enough to prevent any true connection. He learned through palace gossip that Kylie had been promised to Prince Aldrich of the Centauri Empire, a political marriage to secure an alliance. The wedding was scheduled for the following spring. One night, William stood on the observation deck of the palace, staring out at the twin moons of the capital planet. He was so lost in thought he didn't hear the approaching footsteps. "She's testing you." William spun to find Kylie standing behind him, wrapped in a simple cloak that concealed her royal attire. His training screamed at him to step back, to observe protocol. But his heart kept him rooted. "Your Highness, you shouldn't be. She's testing both of us," Kylie interrupted. moving to stand beside him at the railing. My mother believes that if she keeps us close, we'll either break under the pressure or prove that what we feel is strong enough to challenge an empire. What we feel? William's voice was barely a whisper. Kylie turned to face him, her violet eyes reflecting the starlight. You think I don't know? You think I didn't feel it when you held me in that escape pod? When you whispered that everything would be all right? You bled for me, William. You nearly died for me. And now my mother keeps you here like a prize, a constant reminder of what I cannot have. William's resolve crumbled. Kylie, don't, she said, raising a hand. Don't make this harder. I came to tell you that you deserve better than to be a pawn in her games. Request a transfer. Go to the outer colonies. Forget the princess you saved. I can't. Why not? Because I love you, his heart screamed. But his lips formed different words. Because I swore an oath. Kylie's expression softened with sadness. She reached out, her fingers barely brushing his hand. Then we're both prisoners here, aren't we? You to your duty, me to my crown. Before William could respond, she pulled away and disappeared into the shadows of the palace, leaving him alone with the stars and the weight of an impossible choice. The queen had claimed him, yes, but his heart belonged to the Princess Anne. That was a battle no amount of fighting or bleeding could ever win.